Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news at the start of a new week, and we've got some big news coming in. Apparently Jaden Sancho is very close to completing a deal with Paris Saint-Germain, or as some might say, PSG. Also, we're apparently going to do a deal ourselves with a Colombian called Rios from Palmeiras, who is Colombian, as I said. Also, an update on INACIO, the Sporting Lisbon midfielder. He could be on the centre back. Could be on the move as well. Also, updates from Fabrizio Romano, who is on this show live at 12:30 in relation to Branthwaite as well. And what else have we got? We've also got updates for you on Pellistri, Ugarte, and a few other bits as well. So lots and lots to get into on the show this morning. I hope you're all doing very, very well. But of course, the big story we want to talk about here is, and it would be a shock deal, I don't think any of us were expecting to wake up to this morning, just in, PSG are close to reaching an agreement on personal terms with Jaden Sancho, and this is coming in from @Santi_J_FM, who's got nearly 3,000 followers on X, writes for Foot Mercato, which is a French outlet, come from absolutely nowhere this morning, and because of that, you almost feel like saying, well, hello, is this true? Because Stephen says, fantastic if true. Jamar says it won't happen. Patrick, welcome to the Members Club. Look, this is how we do it on here. It's real, it's, it's genuine and it's opinionated. And look, my opinion is that somebody mentioned this yesterday. And I wish I knew who it was. Podcast Passion says, do we have any news on Richard Rios? We will have news on Richard Rios. We are going to talk about him, but we're going to start off with the bigger news, which is Jaden Sancho. Thank you. If you want to start your own podcast, you've got a passion for it, Podcast Passion, you could lead on Richard Rios. But we're talking about Jaden Sancho first of all. So somebody said this yesterday morning, and I don't know whether they were in the know. I don't know whether they were just randomly throwing something out there, but if you're Jaden Sancho and you've got the choice of being fourth choice winger at Man United behind Ahmad, Garnacho and Rashford going into a season where you famously fell out with the manager, that's not a great season to go into, is it? You're behind Rashford, you're behind Garnacho, you're behind Ahmad, and not only that, you're not being brought into a new club where you've got a chance to fight against them. You're going back to the club where you refused to play for 3 months with a manager you didn't get on with. It's not the best environment to start a new season, is it? Fourth choice in a club that you sort of fell out with last year, where trust is probably not great. And on the other hand, you've got PSG in the Champions League who play, 70% of their games are like playing a pub team. You're going to cook. You can cook what you like. Beans on toast, lasagna, a vegetarian salad. You can cook what you like. I think if you're Jaden Sancho, PSG does probably appeal a little bit more than Man United, if it's true. And from PSG's point of view, I'd look at Jaden Sancho and go, comparative to, someone like Rafael Leao, who's going to cost you 100 million quid, Jaden Sancho has proven himself in the Bundesliga as a player that can do a lot of good. And you put him into a league that's a little bit of a pub league at times, and I'm not saying that, what I'm saying is Sancho in the Bundesliga is proven, and Sancho in the French league would be proven. I think he'd do well in that league because it's not as competitive as the Premier League, and I think he would be able to, adapt and do very, very well there. So I can see why the deal would happen. I'm just very shocked by it. I'm very shocked by this news this morning that apparently PSG are close to doing a deal with Jaden Sancho, because I think it would be a good deal for PSG. It's a very cheap price. I think it would be a good deal for Sancho as a fresh start, and he'd still get to play Champions League football. And I also think it would be a good deal for Man United to offload a player that realistically they probably want to offload. So it's tick, tick, tick. But I think tick, 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 boom. I said, what's that? Who sang that? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Jazzy Jeff? I say, tick, 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 boom. I said, yo, are you all ready for me yet? Pop it up, Chris. I mean, that's not my kind of music. But reality here is that as well, we've been aware from what Fabrizio said a few weeks ago that Man United and PSG are in a lot of conversations as well. So to that end, a lot of conversations can't just be Agate. What are the other conversations? Is it Xavi Simons? Is it Jaden Sancho? I think some people wanted it to be Rashford, but it's not going to be Rashford. It might be Sancho that they're talking about. I mean, look, what I will say about this is it's coming in from reports from France. It's coming in from a source that I'm not going to lie. I don't think this source is that great. It's been around for a long time. Some people always said it was Ronaldo's mouthpiece. But that in itself, I don't know whether that's true or not, but it could be George Mendes' mouthpiece then, because Ronaldo used to have him as an agent. And as we know, George Mendes this summer is running things. So, you know, Sancho, PSG, you know, let's run a poll on it. But that is the breaking news this morning, that apparently PSG want Sancho. I don't know anything. A lot of people are saying, is this a loan deal? Is it a full-time deal? I don't think it really matters either way. I mean, obviously, it would be great if it was a full-time deal, but realistically, I just think it would be great news for Ahmad if Jaden Sancho was out of the picture. I think it would make him, you know, higher profile. And, you know, maybe that's what this has all been about. Like, if you think about it, I'm just going to throw this out there. If you think about it with Sancho, 2 weeks ago, it was like, he'll never come back training to Carrington. And then a week and a half ago, he's going to be training back at Carrington. And then, you know, now we're getting stories about PSG. Maybe that was always the plan. Come back, train, smile, and you'll get more options. And that might be what it was all about. You know, let's just draw a line underneath it. Let's get you back in training. And I guarantee you, Jaden, you'll start getting more offers. And maybe that's what it was all about. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. The interesting thing is, we've not had any updates from a David Ornstein or a Fabrizio Romano on this yet. So I would still say that it could be bollocks, but we'll have to wait and see. But get your voting in the poll. 93% of you are saying yes. Great move by Eric and Ineos, putting Sancho back in the squad. Sancho was always going, says Barry. Well, I always thought that, didn't I? And I think a few of you agree with me. I always said, and I even said it at the weekend, I still think ultimately Sancho leaves Manchester United. Lookman says, even if Jaden is still in the Man United, Ahmad will start ahead of him, which is why I think Sancho himself needs to go. Steven says, selling Sancho to PSG would be the best possible outcome. Get him gone and get a decent price for him for other targets. Romano says 40 million for opening bid is expected, says Quir. Is that about Romano? Is that about Sancho? Because I haven't seen that. So if that's an update, then let us know if that is true. I mean, I can go looking for it. Michael Doherty says, I'm not bitter and would wish him all the best, but yes, sell him. Oh, yeah, mate. Look, life's too short. I think Sancho, somebody said last night, you've got an issue with Sancho. Well, I do. I have an issue with a player that refused to play for 3 months. Yeah, I do. Man United's more important to me than any manager or any player. And I do have an issue with him. And, he, you know, playing well in a pre-season game wasn't going to resolve that issue. He needed to turn up to training on time every day for the next 6 months, sit on the bench with a smile on his face and work his way into the first team, and then we wouldn't have an issue. And if that happens, there won't be an issue. But it's not forgive and forget. Like, he has got to come back and work really, really hard to win back a lot of United fans, myself included. And he can do that. Or he can leave. And I think leaving might be the best option. Mark, surely to challenge for the top trophies, we need a world-class striker, says Mark. Since when are we challenging for the top trophies, Mark? We're a work in progress. I don't think we're even talking about that. And by the time we're ready to win big trophies, who's to say that Xerxes or Rasmus won't be top class? Fabrizio retweeted it, so therefore there's truth in it, says Richard. Well, I tell you what, Richard, you can call yourself Richard Romano this morning, because if you've just dropped that, then you're right. He hasn't retweeted it. He's not retweeted it at all, Richard. I can't see any mention of it on his timeline at all. So Richard is a liar. Let it be known in the chat that Richard is a liar. There is nothing on Fabrizio Romano's Twitter page about it at all. Richard has disappointed us. Sounds too good to be true, says John. Hi, Mark. Would you swap Sancho for Ugarte? I don't think that will happen, Frank. The Hives, tick, tick, boom, says Teddy. Sancho needs to go. Disrespecting the badge is unforgivable. He's perfect for PSG, says Steve. Romano via Daily Briefing says PSG will offer £40 million. There we go, Abdul. There we go. He does have a Daily Briefing. He probably will tweet about it, and we'll get clarity about it from Fabrizio at 12:30 anyway. So make sure you subscribe because we're live with him at 12:30. Morning, Mark. If this is true, then surely we can say to them, we will do you a good deal on Sancho if you give us a good deal for Ugarte, says Tom Grant. We're going to talk about Richard Rios now. Okay, so Sancho to PSG looks like it's warming up. That is the shock news of the morning. Can I just say as well, I should get a bell where I walk over here, I pick it up, and I go, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. We've got a bit of news. The bell of the ball, because this is just the way this is going at the moment. Every week we're moving on to something else. And I said this yesterday. Did I not say this to you yesterday? That what we want to see and what we are seeing is genuine excitement and ruthlessness and aggression. And yesterday, I must admit, Sunday night, you know, you're kicking back. You've had the pre-season game against Rangers. We've had the official signing of Euro. And you're like, what will this week hold? We need a bit of impetus going into the week. And we wake up on a Monday morning and Sancho to PSG is the story. And I will say this, as much as we're going to talk about Richard Rios and INACIO next and their incomings, the outgoings are as important. I know some football fans switch off for the summer and go, I'll come back in August. Some football fans love the transfer window like we do. Some football fans love the transfer window but are only interested on incomings. As we said towards the end of last season, the outgoings are as important as the incomings, because if the shit's still there, it's going to stink up at the dressing room. So you can bring all the new players in, but they'll still smell the shit. We've got to clear out the shit. And when I say shit, I'm not saying that the players are shit, but what I'm saying is, you know, in an analogy sense, we haven't cleared out the stable in ages, and there's been a lot of shit in there, and that is what we need to do. That is what we need to do. If 40 million bid is true, I would jump on that, says Muyad. I watched Rios during the Copa, and he played well, says Robert. Well, let me move on. I want to talk about this because a lot of people are very interested in it. So, Richard Rios is... make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way. Richard Rios is... hold on a minute, I'm just getting something in. Richard Rios is somebody that is has been mentioned in our live chat for quite a considerable period of time. He is apparently going to sign for Manchester United. This came in from a very interesting source with regards to, I think it was certainly a South American source, and they basically said that Manchester United, they were basically saying, here we go. I was trying to think of a better way of doing it without making people feel like really, you know, excited. But yeah, effectively, what happened is that they've come out and said that Manchester United are basically going to do a deal for Richard Rios. So I had a look at this, and I don't really know a lot about this player. It would be £17 million, and he's 24. He's 6'1". He's a midfielder, and he played well in the Copa America. Well, straight away, that is a concern for me, because I don't scout players based on European football, on the Euros, and I don't scout on them based on the Copa America either. So that would be a bit of a concern. Second to that, and I haven't really seen a lot of him. I don't watch Brazilian football. He plays for Palmeiras. But what I'm reading is a lot of people are sort of misclassifying him. A lot of people are saying he's a holding midfielder. Now, he might have played like that for Copa America, in the Copa America, but when you dig a bit deeper, and I've not seen anything of this guy, so I don't know, but apparently he's not really a great passer. He's not really a great tackler. He's more of an 8. He's more of a ball carrier. And although he did really well in the Copa America, he's not really a 6. And he's not really a passer of the ball. So I'm just going to sit here and tell you what the vast majority are saying about him. Fantastic engine, but more of a box-to-box midfielder. So I would look at that and say that, how does that work? I don't believe this story. I suppose I may as well just be honest. I don't believe this story. I don't believe the amount of times we've been signing a Brazilian player from the Brazilian league over the last 3 years and we've not bought any of them has been ridiculous. And I think that to me is a really obvious assessment of. I mean, there was what's the name of the guy who signed for? I need to try and find this. What was the name of the guy who signed for Chelsea? That apparently we'd agreed a deal with him as well. I can't remember what his name was. Might have to look it up here and see if I can find it. But apparently we'd agreed a deal with him as well, and that didn't happen. So I'm a little bit loath to sort of get excited about this. Has anybody got a problem with YouTube this morning? Like, we've only got 10,000 people watching, and I'm not being arrogant, but we'd normally have 15, 16,000. So can somebody just, I'm getting a lot of messages through about a problem with the stream. Did notifications not go out? Did something not happen? Because, yeah, I think we've got a bit of a problem with YouTube or something like that, because a lot of people are messaging and coming into the chat late. Could be an IT outage, yeah. Yeah, I don't think the notifications have gone out. Okay, sorry. I watched Rios during Copa played well, says Robert McCormack. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I've just got a few problems there. But look, I think a lot of people are getting very excited about this morning, and I think the source is shit, if I'm being honest. I'm not here to say on a news show that it won't happen, because I think Manchester United are capable of doing anything. But I do think that when you look at United and you look at what we're trying to do, I don't think Richard Rios from Palmeiras at 24 years of age is a deal that's going to miss the likes of David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano. So I don't think there's anything in it. It would be a very exciting deal at a very good price if we did do it. And I think that's why people are getting very excited about it. But all I would say is you can't scout somebody on the Copa America, much the same as you can't scout somebody from the Euros. And he isn't a traditional 6, he's more of an 8, which would mean that, what does that do for Mainu? Does Mainu end up being a 6? So I think, you know, maybe there's something in it, but I very much doubt it. Sticks says Rios is a trap, looked good in the Copa, career stats are bad. And Flavio, welcome to the Members Club this morning. Well, another player I've got an update for you. Young King says £40 is too low for Sancho. It's £40 million. It's £40 million, so don't worry about that one too much. Another one we've got an update for you is in relation to INACIO. Now, this is going to fit in nicely with an update from Fabrizio Romano this morning. So, Man United want, we believe, a left-footed centre-back. And that left-footed centre-back, of course, would have been Jared Branthwaite. Jared Branthwaite is being offered a new contract by Everton. We heard about that at the end of last week. Fabrizio has spoken about it this morning and said that Everton are very keen to get Jared Branthwaite on a new contract at that football club. Man United remain interested, but Everton will not do a deal for less than 70 million, and Man United are not interested at that price. So that's where we are with the left-sided centre-back. And of course, I think every single one of us would not go anywhere near Jared Branthwaite at that price. So does that then lead Manchester United towards another left-sided centre-back? Well, you know, it's... Sorry, I've got to message this guy. I have an update on INACIO, Sporting Lisbon. A lot of you would mention INACIO as a decent player. And very, very quiet with Manchester United. Left-footed centre-back, was part of the Portugal team for the Euros. Sporting Lisbon, somebody that United have been scouting for a long time. When I say scouting, it doesn't mean like he's top of the list. We scout a lot of players, especially in Portugal. We watch a lot of Benfica games. We watch a lot of Sporting Lisbon games. The latest on INACIO is that Liverpool are actually winning that race. Over the last 24 hours, a lot of reports coming out of Portugal around Liverpool and INACIO. So if anybody's thinking about INACIO and Manchester United, ridiculously quiet around us and him. But Liverpool are now apparently looking at him. Liverpool want to bring a centre-back in. They have spent the last few days being quite disappointed as a fan base that they didn't get Euro. And apparently now, according to Portuguese reports, they are leading the race on INACIO and Man United aren't even involved. So when it comes to a left-footed centre-back for Manchester United, I mean, certainly want to ask Fabrizio around this at 12:30 what the situation is with the centre-back. I think De Ligt is very obvious, but with all due respect, we've still got to agree a deal with Bayern Munich. And as much as we think we will, we didn't agree a deal with Everton and we walked. So we have to respect and understand the possibility of us walking away from a De Ligt deal, which leaves us where? So if INACIO is not on United's plate as a left-footed centre-back option, and even if we do get De Ligt, would that be the end of it? 37.5 million, Mason, is the price that Liverpool are being quoted for INACIO, by the way. I mean, we're not a Liverpool channel, but apparently 37.5 million is what the price would be for INACIO from Sporting Lisbon, which to me seems like a very, very good deal. I think he's got a 50 million euro release clause. So, but look, we're not looking at him at the moment. Liverpool do want a centre-back, and maybe that's what they're doing. PSG linked with Sancho and Bruno. Would we swap for Agati and Simmons, says Christian. Mate, I've just had my breakfast. You'd maybe want to throw up. God, that is one of the most sickening sentences I've read in my life. And I used to work in the police, and some of the statements I read, that is fucking horrible, mate. PSG linked with Sancho and Bruno. Would we swap them for Agate and Simons? Oh my God. Christian. What a horrible way to start the week. Bloody hell. That's like swapping Margot Robbie for Ian Beale. You know, and you might be straight. You might not even like men. I mean, what the hell are you talking about? Agate and Simons for Sancho and Bruno. Oh, God, that's sick. That is absolute sick. I mean, look, Agate Sancho I get, but Simmons for Bruno? Bloody hell. That's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Christian, anyway, we'll move on. Not only will I let Sancho go, I will drive him as well, says I See Dead Bodies. Jaden, if you do the deal, you've got a free lift with I See Dead Bodies. I don't think it'll be a great conversation, but he definitely will drive you for free. I'm Brazilian. I watch him weekly. He's definitely an 8, says Flavio. Well, thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Always nice to get a lot. I'll put my hand up. I don't really know anything about him, if I'm being honest. So, just to summarise where we are this morning, make sure you smash a like on the video. We have got updates on Jaden Sancho, who's apparently going to PSG, which I think Fabrizio has confirmed would be true, and it would be a full-time deal on about £40 million. We've been linked to Richard Rios, who's all about a Brazilian source saying £17 million, but we don't £17 million, but we don't really agree with that. And INACIO, who has been a target for Man United in the past, is apparently more close to a move to Liverpool for £37.5 million. So that is where we are with that as well. Would you wait till January for Scalvini to recover, says Toad? I think that's a great point. If I had a centre-back that I really wanted that wasn't available this summer, that was going to be available in January, then I would wait until January, yes, because you could bring De Ligt in, you've got Evans, you've got Yoro, you've got Martinez, and you could keep Fish, sell Maguire and Lindelof, and then go for Scalvini in January. So you could do that, but I don't know that that is on Man United's agenda. I certainly want to see us covering the January transfer window with some aggression in relation to bringing players in. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see. Let's get this summer out of the way. But I think it's absolutely fantastic that the Sancho story's out there, if I'm being completely honest. INACIO would be perfect. Could cover left centre-back and left-back, says Gary Neville. And Marky says, "A up, Brev. Do you agree that there is a great opportunity to shoehorn Phelan back into the management position at the club?" says Marcy. Another weird Monday morning super chat there from Marcy. Are you missing Phelan's legs in his shorts? Because I don't think we're missing his managerial ability, mate. Could this be a distraction tactic from PSG? Says Keel Robinson. The great thing about that statement, Keel, is it's probably got me and the rest of the chat thinking, what is the distraction tactic? So what would the distraction tactic from PSG be? For what? It could be a distraction tactic. I just don't understand what the distraction is. Yeah, I don't really understand that one. Let's talk about... there was another player I wanted to talk about. Oh, yes. Very interesting this is, actually, to bring into the show. So, James Ducker. Margot Robbie says, "You don't leave your wife for me, but for Ian Beale." Bloody hell. Anyway, let's go. So... James Ducker in The Telegraph has been writing about the Mason Greenwood deal. And remember what I said about the Mason Greenwood deal, that we should put in a buyback clause? Well, apparently we have. So Mason Greenwood's now a Marseille player for about £27 million, I think, when the add-ons are paid, which will get paid. So £27 million for Jaden Sancho is not too bad. 50% of any profits. So if he goes for 60 million, we probably get another 20. And on top of that, there is a buyback clause for Manchester United. This has been confirmed by James Ducker in The Telegraph that it is there. However, just so that people don't get stressed, he says there is a buyback clause in it, but it's highly unlikely Man United would ever activate it, which I think is absolutely fine. I think that's very, very good that that clarity is there. We probably never, ever would utilise it. But worlds change. You know, they say a week in politics is a long time. Well, a season in football is a very long time. And in 2 years' time, who knows? I don't think Mason Greenwood can ever play for Man United again. If I'm being completely honest, you know the way the world works. I mean, bloody hell. In my house, if you forget to turn the hot water on and someone misses out on a bath, they won't let you forget about it. So I certainly think that the way the world works now is people don't forget. And I don't think that the... I just think 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, if Man United tried to sign Mason Greenwood, it would almost be worse than bringing him back from a loan when you already own him. So I don't think there will be a way back. But... even though I don't think there will be a way back, I still think it's intelligent to have a buyback clause in it because you just don't know. And, you know, may as well cover off all eventualities. Is Edison still a possibility for us, says Cajo? You know what? That's a great point. A really great point. Edison Atalanta was a player that we had on the hotometer right at the start of the summer transfer window that we absolutely thought would be a key player for Man United because Dan Ashworth liked him at Newcastle. We liked him anyway. Never really been mentioned. Was part of the Copa America team for Brazil. Never got mentioned. Not being mentioned at all. I've just done a quick search on him, and Liverpool are the team that are being linked to him. I really like Edison, but we're just not in for him for whatever reason. We steered clear of that deal, and I don't know why. Daniel said no notification. I'm really sorry about that. I think YouTube this morning we had a problem getting live, and for whatever reason, it's messed up with the notifications as well. So apologies to everybody on that. There's definitely a problem this morning. But if you found your way because you know we're live at 10 o'clock, like 12,000 of you did, well done. If you're not watching live, apologies. We'll get that sorted for the Romano show at 12:30 today. But yeah, a great point about Edison. I don't believe United are in for him anymore. He was certainly a player that we did scout a lot. We've got, you know, a lot of good relationships with Atalanta. Ahmad and Rasmus, and we certainly were looking at Scalvini and Ederson, but neither player, obviously, Scalvini is injured, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, it looks like Ederson might be a possibility for Liverpool, but yeah, Agate or Ederson. Everyone's going to say Agate because it's the player that we're going to get, but I'd have been very, very happy with Ederson, to be honest with you, but nothing on that. What's your hope for Malacia this season, says Syriac? I really hope that people stop talking about Malacia in the live chat, is my honest answer. Because it's getting to a point now where I read a comment yesterday where it was like, what's Mark's problem with Malacia? And I think because people keep asking me about it and I keep giving an honest answer, it's almost becoming like I've got an issue with Malacia, and I don't have an issue with him. I'm tired of being asked about him because I don't understand why we're being asked about him. Like, we've answered the question so many times. Before Malacia got injured, was he our starting left back? No. Was he proven? No. He's not played football for 14 months. He's still not training with the first team, and people think he's the answer at left back because we didn't have a left back last year. He wasn't the answer at left back when he was fit. He's certainly not the answer when he's not played for 14 months. And I also will guarantee you that when he does get back playing football, he will get injured again very, very quickly, because you don't miss 14 months of football, come back to start training, and then don't have any problems. It's called secondary and third-degree or whatever injuries. So I've got no hope for Malacia, if I'm being honest. All my hope is for him is that the lad's career is not over, and that he can get back playing football. But I think the next 6 months for him are about recovery and rehabilitation. I don't think he's going to be anywhere. Look, it'd be a miracle if he's in a first-team squad before October, in my opinion, because we're not going to sell him, the great Gron, you know. We've got a duty of care to him. We gave him a contract. We pay him a wage. It's rehabilitation for him for the next 3 months. And I personally, I mean, you could almost say the same about Chelsea and Lavia. I mean, what the fuck is going on with these young players that they're missing over a year of football? As I said with Malacia, if this had been Bruno or Rashford, we'd never have shut up about it. It's only because he is a backup left back that it's sort of been, where, you know, there was even memes about where Malacia was. Remember, people thought he was in the witness protection program and stuff like that. Just an incredibly long injury that you do not get in the modern game. And as we've seen, like if you wreck your right knee for a year and you're not doing anything with your right knee for a year, when you start doing something with your right knee, your left leg's going to have problems because your left leg has been taking the weight for the last year. And when your body then has to try and readapt, the weight from the left leg has to distribute to the right leg, which tends to lead to muscle problems and that on your left leg. So rehab is going to be massive for Malacia, and I don't think he's going to be anywhere near the first team. And the big problem is, if you're Eric Ten Hag or you're Man United, you're discussing everything I've discussed there. And someone at United will say, do we really need a left back though? Because Malacia's back in training now, and you've got Luke Shaw. And Ten Hag will say, are you thick? Malacia's not played for over a year, and he's probably going to pick up more injuries. Luke Shaw's injury prone. We can't go into the season with that. You've got to buy me a left back. And when the minute we buy a left back, that puts Malacia down to third choice. So I think, I mean, Malp says I think he'll retire. That's the thing I hope doesn't happen. That would be horrible. Horrible. You know, I remember a young lad who was close to the class of 92, winger. It's not Ben Thornley. I always think it's Ben Thornley. Is it Terry Cook? Really talented winger. And injury ruined it. And it's horrible. Horrible when... I mean, it's horrible that your career gets ended by injury anyway. But when you never establish yourself... Oh, absolutely horrible. So, look, hopefully that won't happen. But it's a long journey back for Malacia. And I think people see him back training and think he's going to be ready. We should use Cucurella with some paella, says Toad. I wouldn't mind Cucurella, if I'm being completely honest. I really wouldn't mind him as an option for Manchester United. I think it's certainly an interesting option for United. But we looked at him last summer. Really want to ask Fabrizio about this at 9 o'clock, actually. Like, sorry, at 12:30, like what we're looking at there. But I quite like the idea of Cucurella because... And not because he did well in the Euros, but because I still think there's a decent player there in the right system, and I don't think the Chelsea system, sometimes playing with a back five, helps him. And remember, this would be somebody that would be a backup, but my ideal left-back is Gutierrez from Girona. Hi, Mark. Thought, though I like De Ligt as an option for a new defender, says Himcar, how would we be able to give game time to Yoro and De Ligt, since both are right-footed? Right, I'm going. I've had enough. That's just the last crap comment of the day. I've had enough. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm quitting the United stand. Goodbye. Of course I'm not. But I can't... Surely there's other outlets you can go to. You know, like idiots who watch the United stand, try to copy it, and then don't remember what's been said, so it comes across as really basic. There are others out there. These are the places for you, Himka, because they might actually take that on board and go, what a great point. But it's a bad point. It's a really bad point. You're basically saying to me, what are we going to do if Martinez gets injured because De Ligt and Yoro are both right-footed? Harry Maguire is right-footed and has spent most of his career playing as a left-footed centre-back. Virgil van Dijk is right-footed. He's one of the best centre-backs in the world and he plays as a left-sided centre-back. The only reason you might want a left-footed centre-back is for balance. It's not necessary. It's not essential. You can play with Yoro and De Ligt at centre-back. Let's move on. Don't we need a striker to save the jungle, or are we happy to stick with just Højlund? Okay, I don't know why. The notifications are only going out to Prats. What the hell are you talking about? We've just bought Xerxes, you bloody idiot. Where have you been? In a bloody coma. We just bought Xerxes. Josh says, with the signing of Yoro, would it be worth looking at Hato from Ajax? This is better. This is the stuff we want. You know what, Josh? I was worried about your super chat. We've just done 2 in a row that were terrible. I thought it can only get worse. This is going to be the hat trick. And Josh, just when you thought it was going to get bad, you totally redeemed the chat. So yeah, I mean Hato from Ajax. I only know him from FIFA career mode, but. Look, he's a young centre-back and he can play as a left centre-back and a left-back. So, yeah, that sort of a signing would be interesting, but I don't know whether we are going to do it. Do you honestly think Bruno will leave, says Kai? I don't. No, I don't. And I hope he doesn't. Howder says, hey, Mark, since it's Monday, how did you went from 95 to 99 on your card behind you? What category have changed and how did you do that? I've not changed those, mate. They're the same. They're exactly the same. Big Z says, would you really take Cucurella after that cringe song he keeps singing about himself? Mate, have you seen the dances that Mason Mount was doing at Chelsea? Don't talk about cringe. Like, some of these players, they're cringier than Christmas. So, let's not judge. Look, honestly, in relation to footballers, it's for you to learn. Most footballers, knobheads. Some footballers, absolute legends. But don't judge what a footballer's like on TikTok as to whether you want them to play for Man United. You're not going to have them round for dinner. They're not going to have a pint with you. You know, that's not... All their job is to perform in a Man United shirt. I don't care what they're doing on TikTok or what songs they're singing. I mean, bloody hell, some of our legends are absolute wankers when you think about what they've done off the pitch. But they're legends of the club. We want them just to play football. I don't care about whether they're a nice guy or not off the pitch. I mean, obviously, I don't want them committing crimes, but, you know, the modern footballer ain't necessarily, you know, the best, are they? But it's what they do on the pitch. I'm not really bothered about what they're singing. Would you go in for Alphonso Davies? 1 year left on his contract, says Ammon. Look, Alphonso Davies would be a very, very good option at left-back for Manchester United. I think he's a bit overrated. I think he's a bit of a hipster player. I think he's a bit of a FIFA player. But the only explanation I would give about that is that I think some people think Alphonso Davies is the best left-back in the world. I don't think he's the best left-back in the world. I think that Kieran won't be answering any questions like that, thanks. So, goodbye. And I mean, as if we would, like, let those people go and talk publicly because they want to. Like, we're a professional business. We don't talk about stuff like that. Thank you, Kieran. I come for the United news, but I stay for the comedy. Cheers, Mark, says Sam. Going back to Alphonso Davies, though, I think he's a good left back. I don't think he's the best left back in the world. With 1 year left on his contract, would he be worth bringing to Manchester United? Well, obviously yes, but I've always heard that he's going to go to Real Madrid. But I don't see it happening, and I've not heard anything Man United looking at it. But in some ways, you would look at it and go, Man United need a left back. One of the world's best left backs is available with 1 year left on his contract. We're in talks with Bayern Munich about De Ligt. It's not a massive leap of the imagination to say that something could happen, but I've never heard that Man United are looking at him. So no. Fat Boy Bob, his words, not mine, says Pellistri is getting sold. Yeah, we spoke about Pellistri on the Sunday night show. I think it's very, very obvious that that's going to happen as well. Let says, I haven't seen anything on Eriksen. How come a club won't get him? He was decent in the Euros. What? M says, that's so hypocritical, especially when you waffle on about scouting the right kind of players with a good background so they have the right mentality. Not like Sancho. Ems, you're talking to yourself, mate. We're not in your head, Ems. So whatever you think I'm hypocritical about, you didn't tell me. So great comment. No idea what you're on about. For me, Bruno should retire at the club and be given at least an icon status. I thought you said a statue there, Toad. He's been an emblem for the past 5 years and has had the best mentality. I'll tell you this about Bruno Fernandes, and I'll tell it you for free, which is basically what we do anyway. Bruno Fernandes is the most important player at Manchester United at the moment. I did a video towards the end of last season when he was playing badly, and I spoke about the Bruno problem, and he was a problem, but so was Rashford, so was a lot of players, so was Casemiro. But what we saw from Bruno Fernandes last season was that when he doesn't play, we're worse. And even when he's playing badly, he doesn't stop running. Even when he's playing badly, players respond to him. We're not in a position this summer to let Bruno Fernandes go. Nobody is irreplaceable. You know, we saw Roy Keane get kicked out of the club. We saw Beckham get kicked out of the club. We saw Ronaldo leave the club. Nobody is irreplaceable at Manchester United, and nobody ever should be. But Bruno Fernandes, if he was sold this summer, would leave a void we can't fill, and we can't hope to fill, because the influence he has on the dressing room, he's the senior player, he leads by example, and when he doesn't play, we might have been shit last season, but we're even worse when Bruno doesn't play. So whatever you think about him as a player, the influence he has on that team, whether you understand it or not, and I know it from speaking to certain players, Bruno Fernandes' influence on that dressing room, if he left, the void would be massive, and also the fear would be who steps into that void, because we don't have anybody. So, you know, imagine Rashford walks into that void and says, I'm the leader now. Or, you know, Casemiro walks in and says, I'm the leader now. Or, you know, Martinez walks in and he's not ready to be the leader now. We don't, that's the point. You'll either end up with the wrong leaders or somebody who's not quite ready. We're not ready for Bruno to go. Now, I look at that team and I go, I think there are some players that will be ready to take over from Bruno. Martinez, you know, there's still hope for Rashford. Mainu, Rasmus, you know, Garnacho, there's Delo, maybe Yoro, you know, that there are, maybe Agate. There are leaders that can come in over the next 2 years and become leaders of that team. But at the moment, we're nowhere near ready for Bruno to walk away from that team. Absolutely not. Wesley says, Rashford, Garnacho, Ahmad, Anthony as wingers be enough. The creative in that would have to be Ahmad and hopefully Garnacho. And then I think I'd be a lot happier with that four. But ideally, yeah. De Ligt could be a leader as well, Raj. Exactly. But we're not ready now. Keep up the great work. What have I missed? Says Carmine. Where have you been, Carmine? I think a lot of people have missed out because we didn't get notifications out. Apologies for that. Funnily enough, I did get a notification, and I never get a notification. Yeah, I got a notification at 1 minute past 10. And I never get notifications. Miles says, hopefully we navigate this deal with Sancho right and sort the Ugarte deal out with it. Talking of Mount, I think he looked sharp on Saturday. He's got to stay fit. If you're tuning in a little bit late, we've had problems with notifications, but effectively, PSG are in for Jaden Sancho. INACIO could be heading off to Liverpool, and Man United have been linked with Richard Rios, the Colombian 24-year-old midfielder who plays in Brazil. We've got Fabrizio Romano on the show at 12:30 live, so we'll be able to go through a lot of this and more. I really want to find out what's going on with the fullbacks, the midfield, and also the centre-backs, but also who could be leaving. I mean, if Sancho goes this week, that would be a massive boost, but I still want to see the likes of Maguire and McTominay and Wan-Bissaka going as well. Big Sam says, do you think Malacia can replace Shaw this season? I think Big Sam, crap banter, I would call you. I can see a troll a mile off, and you are trolling. I just don't see Bruno being happy to stay, says Robert McCormack, and yet I'm here myself saying something I never thought I would say. I want to hear more from Robert. Like, why don't you think he'd be happy to stay? Do you think it's the wages? That can be the only reason I would think. Breaking the Bad, welcome to the members club. Thank you very much. Love that. Look, the only reason I think Bruno Fernandes might not be happy to stay at Manchester United would be the fact that he's probably low down on the wage thing, but Jaden Sancho would be another one out of the way. Apparently, Rafael Varane and Bruno Fernandes have been on holiday together. I can see them on a paddleboard. Should we have kept Varane? Probably not. Bruno's probably happy he's gone in relation to the wages. Mason Mount staying at Man United as per expected. What do you think about Collier, Mark? Mate, I've been talking about Collier for a very, very long time, and I really do... Actually, I want to read you this. I want to read you this first of all. I like this account on X, Swedish Rumble. Very good about financials. I don't know much about Richard Rios, so this is what he said. I'm the type who gets crushes for these players. 24-year-old Colombian, centre defensive midfielder / centre midfielder Richard Rios, playing for Palmeiras in Brazil. Isn't up there with the worst, but I was really intrigued by him after watching him in the Copa America. And when we got linked to him, I can't help but dream a bit. What is this kid about? He's a very flashy and combative number 6 / number 8. Great dribbler, excellent turn radius and agility. He's got a lot of speed. Really poised and calm on the ball in heavy traffic, works really hard and is clutch in battles for the ball. Fairly tall at 6'1", strikes the ball really well. Consequently, at CDM, he's great at taking a pass when pressured and turning up pitch. Great in the build-up, but also just very competent all over the pitch. Even if he's a bit older at 24, he's very inexperienced and only broke through for Palmeiras 2 seasons ago. It's probably like that he will end up going to a bigger club in one of the smaller leagues like Galatasaray before going to move to a bigger club. But what I like about him is that he's just really strong individually, and we need that in the midfield. There are no guarantees, but if he could be had for 17 million, I think he would be worth a shot. And I think, to be fair, that's probably one of the best assessments I've seen of the player. So he can play as a 6, good on the ball, strong and poised on the ball, and tall at 6'1", but probably a little bit inexperienced for his age by the sounds of it. So look, keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. It might be a player that we're not in for. I don't think we're in for him. I think it's a load of bollocks. Robert McCormack says he wants a new contract. Maybe Romano will know. Yeah, we'll certainly ask about that as well. In fact, let me just get that into the thing. Any news on Casemiro out? Is Ugarte deal stalling, says Juzzo. And Colin Bolger has just gifted a membership. The Casemiro story, I think, will roll on for a little bit longer. As for Ugarte deal, Ugarte is not stalling. I think by Wednesday, that could be it. Chilius says Mount is Bruno replacement, according to other Man United channel. Well, if you want to go and watch that other Man United channel, then crack on, mate. But I would say that, you know, people have got to fill their mouth with shit sometimes, and I've never heard such shit in all my life. I mean, on what planet is Mason Mount a Bruno Fernandes replacement? I mean, we didn't buy him as a Bruno replacement. We bought him as an Eriksen replacement, so that's factually correct. And secondly, how can he be a Bruno Fernandes replacement when the guy was injured all of last season and Bruno wasn't injured hardly at all? I mean, he's not a Bruno Fernandes. Who's decided he's a Bruno Fernandes replacement? Because there's no logic. We bought him when Bruno wasn't going anywhere. He was bought as an Eriksen replacement. And he can't be Bruno's replacement this summer because you wouldn't replace Bruno with a guy that was injured all last year. So he's not a Bruno Fernandes replacement. He could be a Bruno Fernandes replacement if he stays fit and starts playing well, but he's not a Bruno Fernandes replacement. In Ten Hag's mind, Mason Mount is not Bruno's replacement. Absolutely not. I think in Ten Hag's mind, Mason Mount is meant to be somebody that plays with Bruno Fernandes as an 8. But I would say if you could have a chat with Ten Hag, honestly, he would say the most important thing for Mason Mount is that he stays fit between now and Christmas and starts playing well. Because at the moment, we don't even know what Mason Mount is. I mean, he's not for sale. Going back to what I was saying about Collier, Kieran Thomas has just pre-ordered the book, by the way. Absolute legend, Kieran. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Links in the description. We need to strengthen ourselves at attacking midfield position, and I don't see Mount doing that. We need players like Xavi Simons or Dani Olmo or both, says Mohit. I don't know. I mean, Man United are certainly looking for players there, so you're probably right. I don't see that as a massive priority, really. In relation to Collier, I thought he played well in pre-season in Norway. I thought he did okay against Rangers. I think some people watch every minute of Man United and judge every game. He's shit, he's good. Amas was shit against Rosenborg, apparently, and then he was better against Rangers. There is no patience with some people. It's pre-season. I don't really care what they do in pre-season. It's about fitness. It's about suitability. I thought Collier actually did better in the Rangers game than he did in the Norway game, and I'll explain why. In the Norway game, he played in the second half with the kids. In the Rangers game, he played with the senior pros and had a better game than Casemiro. He didn't have a good game, but he had a better game than Casemiro. So what's more important, playing well with the kids or holding your own with the first team? And I thought he held his own, and I think that's a more significant performance. Physically, I think he's ready. Sometimes you look at 19, 20-year-olds and you go, physically, they're not ready. Physically, he's ready. It's about ability now. And I think this is going to be a big season for Collier. And I think that Ten Hag always drops a clue in the cup final. When he had a chat with Mainu after the Carabao Cup final, and then Mainu was brilliant the next year, he had the same chat with Collier this year. So I think this is a big season for Collier. Could be the next Scott McTominay, could be the next Stefan Effenberg. Reminds me of that type of a player. If anybody knows who Stefan Effenberg is, what a player he was. Absolutely brilliant German midfielder. Slightly taller. I think he played with his socks down as well. Might be mixing him up with someone else. But what a player he was. But on the other hand, he could be the next Scott McTominay. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see, but I think there's a good player there. Morning, Mark. I'm about to enrol in a Bachelor football for 3 years and hope to move to Manchester from Australia. What should I do, says Harry. Don't swim. Definitely book a flight. But all the best with that, mate. Really, really hope that goes well for you. Okay, I'm going to get off because we've got Fabrizio on in just over an hour and a half. So make sure you subscribe and smash a like on the video. Apologies for any of the problems this morning. We've had a few gremlins in the system, but we will be back as per normal at 12:30 live with Fabrizio. We'll ask him about Bruno as well. I think that's a good question that nobody's really asking. Thank you everyone. How many more signings for a successful window, says Ross? We've done 2, another 5 permanent signings, but I'm very excited about this Sancho story if it's true. Let's see how it develops. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. Take care. Please pre-order the book. Links in the description. 12:30 live with Romano. Any other breaking news, we're live. 8 o'clock as normal. Take care. Absolute legends. Remember, we're always live at 10 o'clock, even if you don't get a notification, but we'll have a look into that. Take care. Shabbat.